This weekend I took a boat to New York City to go check out PlayNYC. I want to call it a convention, but it's more like a gathering of local game developers showing off their games. And these are games that people are still playtesting, so sometimes you can see something really cool that's in very early stages of development. And I love that this kind of thing is local for me because it means I get to go check it out every year. So what we're going to do is go through each of the cards that I got from PlayNYC, and we're going to talk about the games that I checked out. First up, we've got Heart Machine's card. Now, if you don't know who Heart Machine is, they made Hyper Light Drifter, and now they're making the sequel called Hyper Light Breaker. Technically, it is a prequel to Hyper Light Drifter, but this game is definitely a follow-up in that series. Rather than being a 2D adventure game, Hyper Light Breaker is a 3D extraction game that you can play with your friends. Instead of being on one big overarching quest, each run in Hyper Light Breaker has a mission. Obviously, there wasn't too much content in the demo that I played because they're still working on this game, but so far so good. The controls felt snappy, the combat was fun, and it was a really good time exploring this world. And having played Hyper Light Drifter, which features a very dead version of this world, Hyper Light Breaker has a very alive version of it. So as a fan of the first game, it was really cool to see these environments actually thriving. But the one thing I did not have a chance to try was the multiplayer in Hyper Light Breaker, and I think that's actually going to be my favorite aspect of this game. But I am interested to see if this is going to be a really fun experience solo as well. And after talking to one of the reps for Hyper Light Breaker, I learned about this thing in New York City called GUMBO. It's essentially a way for indie game developers to have a space to work together so you're not working on your game alone. They've got playtesting nights, they've got happy hours, all these cool events have been happening right across the river. And just as somebody who's interested in the game development scene in New York City, I was very excited about this. It's not like I make video games, but just to know that this kind of stuff has been happening in Brooklyn, I'm so excited to go check out one of their parties. And they seem like really nice people, and this is the kind of stuff I go to PlayNYC for, to see the community, to hang out with the developers, and to learn about cool things like this. And while I was learning about GUMBO, I played a game called Unwound. You play as a ball of yarn that's rolling around a Candyland-inspired landscape trying to figure out why there's earthquakes. Why is this saccharin-infused world shaking all the time? That's your goal, and that's what you're trying to figure out alongside this game's weird cast of characters. But the best part of checking out Unwound is that I got to hang out with one of the writers for a little while, as well as meet the developer themselves. And this all goes back to the really nice community aspect that is PlayNYC. So if you're in the area, not only should you check out GUMBO, but you should also go to PlayNYC next year. After I was done spinning my yarns with Unwound, I went and checked out Skate Story. You've probably heard of Devolver Digital before. Well, they're publishing this game where you play as a skater who is, and I quote, a demon made of glass and pain, yet you must skate. Before playing Skate Story, I had seen lots of buzz about the game online. The art style, the aesthetic, all this stuff just looked really cool and very surreal. But seeing all that stuff online about the game is nothing compared to actually playing it. Most skateboarding games are about you getting a high score and pulling off some nasty tricks. But in Skate Story, you're going to be fighting the moon by doing kickflips. It's a platformer, it's a single player action game, it's everything you don't expect a skateboarding game to be, and the narrative just seems wild. It's almost too weird to be true. But if you know anything about the games that Devolver Digital likes to publish, this is definitely right up their alley. And even just with my short time with Skate Story, it felt very gratifying to be able to do these moves and have such a big effect on the game world. It sounds ridiculous, but it was really cool to do a kickflip and crack the moon in half. I don't know, something about that just seems fun. And then there was this game called SNIPERPUNK, which was interesting, but for a lot of different reasons than the games before this one. SNIPERPUNK is a game where it's you versus another player, and after every round, the loser gets to change their loadout just a little bit. At first, I was drawn to this game because of its pixel graphics, you know how I'm a sucker for those, but after standing there for a while talking to the game's representative and watching people play it, I started to realize the allure behind it. It's gonna have an online component because that's just how this game is gonna work. You're gonna matchmake with other people online, but if you ask me, this is the perfect game to turn into an arcade cabinet, because while I was hanging out by this booth, the two people playing this game were having a blast. And just based on how they were enjoying the game, it made me realize this is much better than an online experience. This is the kind of game you want to play locally, whether you're taking turns at the arcade or you're handing the controller between each other at home. And you can try SNIPERPUNK's demo on Steam, and I strongly recommend you try it out with a friend. But it wouldn't be an indie games conference if there weren't a bunch of wholesome games, and one game that stood out to me was Captain Corgi Planetary Problem Solver. And just as the title indicates, you play as a corgi whose job it is to solve problems. I didn't get a chance to play the demo for this game. I did watch it being played, and it's just adorable. You play as a corgi running around helping other animals with their issues. And if I'm not mistaken, aside from some commissioned art, there's just one person working on this game. And I had a blast talking to them, learning about their path through game development, their involvement with GUMBO, which again, I really cannot wait to check out. So it was just really cool and a very wholesome experience. So even though this whole video was about the video games, you have to remember I went to Anime NYC to go to Play NYC. So next year, if Anime NYC happens again like this, you really should go check it out, because chances are Play NYC will be a part of it again. And if that's the case, you're gonna be treated not only to a bunch of indie games, but they had an arcade set up, they had gacha machines, the cosplay was incredible. I have some footage from the open play area, but honestly, it's just a lot of fun to experience this kind of thing in person. So even if you're not in the New York City area, do yourself a favor and try and find some smaller local game conventions, because those are the ones where you'll meet the developers, get to talk to them, and just have a blast. And if it wasn't already clear, this experience rejuvenated my love for indie games and the indie gaming scene in New York City. It was just really nice to see it thriving. There's GUMBO, there's all these developers working together to make their games and talk about each other and hype each other up. It was just really fun. And I really hope to get more involved with them as time goes on, but for now, I'm just excited to check out the next party that GUMBO throws. If any of these games stood out to you in any way, let me know in the comments and I can dig deeper into that game for a future video. If you like this video, then make sure you like the video, and if you really like this video and you want to see more of this, then make sure you subscribe to my channel. We talk about indie games here, we talk about big games here, we talk about all sorts of video games here, so if you like video games, you'll likely enjoy what I have to say. And of course, thank you very much for letting me talk your ear off about Play NYC 2024, and I will see you in the next video.